Yo, good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? This is your coach Renz, and tonight I am left to my own devices, guys. I am by my lonesome. Coach Chanel will not be with us tonight. We had some scheduling conflicts and issues, mainly because of me, because I was still at work, and I didn't have enough time for us to get to our location together. So it has been put upon me that tonight you guys will have a evening with Coach Renz, your Uncle Renz tonight. Just all of us and me. What that means is what? You guys can ask any question you like, even though there is a title here which is using the law of attraction in your relationships. I also want to express that you can use the law of attraction to acquire a romantic relationship, or really any other relationship that you choose. You know, business, work, whatever kind of relationship you desire, you can use the law of attraction. Now, I will admit, and I'm just inviting some people, I will admit that the law of attraction, the way I phrase it on here, is a bit of clickbait in the sense that it is much deeper than just the basic law of attraction. The law of attraction encompasses like so many additional things in it. So when I say the law of attraction, there's a lot more that goes into it, which is why oftentimes people are not able to truly use the law of attraction. It's like they think they're using it, but they're using like one aspect of it, but that one aspect is not giving you the results that you want. And you start banging your head against the wall thinking like, well, why isn't it working? Why? I'm using this law of attraction. I'm sitting up here, I'm imagining it, I'm envisioning it, I'm meditating on having this relationship. So, why isn't the law of attraction working for me? Why am I not getting those results? All right. Well, I'm going to break it down for you. But if you have any question at any point, even if you came into this late, right? Hey, hey, Miss Fields. Don't know how to say that. Tajman? I'm probably not saying that right. So excuse me for saying it incorrectly. But the thing is, if you truly want to understand how to use this tool in order to be able to foster the type of whatever relationship that you desire, but also very important, how to make your relationships sweet, how to make sure your relationships work for your benefit, how to get the best out of your relationship. And the law of attraction, which like I said encompasses a lot more than just thinking about something or envisioning or just meditating on it, but it really encompasses you being understanding the entire 7 hermetic laws and how they work, as far as relationships are concerned. Hey Alex, how you doing? So with me just being by myself, I figured that let me go into some things that I like to go a little bit deeper on some of my YouTube videos and some of my other videos that I do. So the law of attraction and how we work this in a relationship is exactly that thing that I really wanted to spend some time talking to you guys about tonight. And like I said, if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask. If I say something crazy off the wall, that's just me. Hey Alex, that's just me. So don't worry about the crazy stuff that I might say. Just go with it. Just go with it. All right. So let's get down to the basic principle, what most people know. If you've read the book The Secret, or you listen to a lot of these people nowadays, you've heard plenty of them talk about the law of attraction, the framework of, all you have to do is just think about it. If you just think about that husband, that wife, you just contemplate and just imagine yourself living that life with them, and if you're doing that, then they're going to magically just appear in your life, and the universe is just gonna conspire and get out of your way to make sure that you have this in your life. Well, let me tell you, using the law of mentalism, which means that you're doing that thing where you're envisioning, you're thinking about it, you're seeing you and that person living that life. That's just one aspect of it, but it's not even the main thing. Now, understand, yes, your thoughts become reality. That is not a falsehood, but the falsehood is that that's all you have to do. that's the only aspect of it. But in truth, the law of mentalism that does say all is mind, all is mental, that your thoughts create, that your thoughts have power, that the more you think about something, then the more likely it is to that it's going to happen or occur in your life. Okay, this is true. But here's the rub. The rub is that if you're not implementing these other laws, it won't happen. See, now the next easy one is called the law of correspondence. This means as above, so below. That whatever you bind in heaven, you bind on earth. Whatever you loose in heaven, you loose on earth. You guys may have heard that one before, depending upon where your background is coming from. But, you know, what's the same thing that happens in the spirit realm is the same thing that happens on the physical realm. You've heard those things before, and that's cool. But understand that you have to know how to influence each level. And by influencing each level, that is what can cause you to have great relationships. You see, if you're only working from a level of lust in your relationship, then guess what? Then that's all you're going to create. You're going to create a relationship that's based on lust. If you're only working from a financial standpoint in a relationship, then all you're going to create is a financial situation. So just understanding the law of correspondence and that whatever you really want to bind or loosen in your life is what you're going to get. It's kind of like the law of sowing and reaping. Like if you are sowing seeds of discontent in other people's lives and other people's spirituality, then that's what you're going to get back. All right? So it's a correspondence. It goes back and forth. So you can't just, so if you're just thinking like, oh, I'm going to have this great husband with this great time and this great wife, and we're just going to have this, you know, I can see it and I know they coming, and oh, they coming, you know, but if you're not actively being a benefit to other people's relationship, being a benefit to your own relationship, then you're not sowing the right kind of seeds, and you're going to get back what you've been sowing. Now, I'm going to go through these laws very quickly, so you got questions asked. Now, here's another one that's very important, the law of vibration. The law of vibration said nothing is at rest, like nothing stands still. There's no such thing as like death. Everything is always moving. So if you're sitting at home and you're being depressed, where you're vibrating at a depressed level, the only thing you're going to attract in your life is another depressed person. You know, if you're always sad, you're always putting out negative energy, if you always got nothing but negative things to say, like here in Atlanta, a lot of women will say that, oh, there's no good men in Atlanta, or they all married, or they all gay, or they all this, or they all that. If all you're doing is going around looking for the negative in something, and you're being a negative person, then what you're going to create is only negative people coming to you. You're going to meet somebody. You're going to meet that guy, that girl who, yeah, y'all are vibing. I didn't touch nothing. Okay, I don't know why I just blanked out like that. But so let's just go right back into where we were. Hopefully people will reconnect to the video. But yeah, so I was talking about the law of vibration. Sorry, don't know what happened, Alex. Don't know what happened. It just went out. But that law of vibration. So yeah, if you're just looking for negative, you're gonna find somebody else who's negative, and guess what? Y'all gonna feel like y'all hitting it off. Y'all gonna feel like you're not found the right person, because both of y'all are some negative people, and both of y'all would then go around finding everything that's wrong in the world. So you have to contemplate this. If you want to develop a relationship, or you're in a relationship, or you want to attract a relationship, you got to become the person that you would want to attract. You got to vibrate at the level that you want. You know, This is like, if you like going to the museum, then vibrate at that frequency and go to the museum. Because guess what? Guess who you're going to meet at the museum? Other people who like going to the museum. If you like working out, you're going to meet other people who are working out if you go to the place and vibrate at a high level for that. But even when you're in that environment, you're still going to meet people who vibrate just like you, who act like you, who model themselves similar to how you are. And because you're meeting those people, you're going to wind up spending more time with those kinds of people. You're going to actually start becoming happier because you're meeting people like you, and you're going to stand around and one day say, oh my gosh, I didn't know that there were so many people in the world who was just like me. But because you were putting yourself out there, vibrating at the same frequency that they are, it's like you attract each other. It's like when you see that person across the room and for some reason y'all just keep making eye contact, it's because y'all are like, you're vibing with each other. Sometimes we like to call this chemistry. You got great chemistry. Well, what it is I don't see anything. Can you hear me? And you just can't see me? I don't know what's going on with this camera, because I can see me. I mean, well, I see me. They don't mean anything. Can you see me, Alex? Alex? Because I can. And I don't know why it went out a little while ago. It's like, this is like weirding me out crazy. Can you hear me? I mean, can you see me? Or is it still messed up? I think Chanel like messed up my phone on purpose so that things just get all jacked up. So that I can't do this podcast tonight. That's what I'm thinking. Sabotage. So I'm looking to see if you can see me or hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me there? I don't know what could be going on here. I'm looking, and according to my laptop, everything's still going. So I'm just going to keep talking. Like on my laptop, I can see me. Yeah. So anyhow, so that's the law of vibration. Is that, you can keep, you're going to vibrate and be attracted to the same people who vibrate the same way you do. So you have to be mindful of your personality, how you're vibrating, because that's what you're attracting to yourself. Now, I know these things sound kind of basic, and you're thinking like, well, I've heard that in the law of attraction, but they're not really breaking it down. And that's the thing. You got to break this thing down and really evaluate yourself to see, how are you vibrating in life? How are you moving? What is your attitude, when you're around other people? You can't see or hear anything. God, hold on. All right, what about now? Let me try this. How about now? If you can, give me a thumbs up, a love, a like, a heart, a smile, a laughter, something. What about now? Because, okay, on my laptop, I can see me. I can see me on my laptop. Let me see if I got volume on my laptop. So we're going to get a little feedback. Look. Heart, a smile, a laughter, something. Yeah, that's working there. I think it's your system, Miss Alex. I think your phone is messed up. But yeah, this is going to be one of the. There's gonna be some serious editing going on this one when I make it for YouTube. So we gotta focus on what's more desirable within our lives, and then vibrate on that level. Let me know when you can hear or see me, Alex, just so I can make sure. And then here's another thing. It's the law of polarity. See, all these things kind of work hand in hand. The law of polarity just basically tells you that everything is on a scale. Love and hate is on the same scale. They're emotional feelings towards one person, or a group of people, or whatever it is. So you have to ask yourself, where am I on the scale of things? When it comes to the scale of happiness and pain, or happiness and sadness, or happiness and depression, whatever terms you want to use, that, but they have to be of similar. What is that emotional plane that you're on? How do you move yourself up this scale? Well, that's where the law of vibration comes into play. When you vibrate at a higher frequency, you move further up the scale towards usually what's good for you, usually what's going to make you happy. So if you're vibrating at a lower scale of pain, of sadness, of depression, then you're not going to move. You're not going to be, you have to start doing those things, being active in your life. Start going to spend time with people, or spend time with yourself and meditating, and get your mind right, get your thought process right. Now, if we were doing some more in-depth conversation, if I was working with somebody one-on-one, there's a process that I would take them through to understand how to get them to thinking accurately. So you got to think accurately. If you're thinking accurately about a situation, then that will help you to vibrate at a higher level. They don't tell you this. They just tell you to go out and just do stuff. But you have to be able to bring everything in accurately. You have to be able to see the facts of everything that's going on around you, understand those facts, put them facts into a proper order so that you gain understanding of them, and then you can put them into active wisdom. You can put them into play. You can then start living your life based on them, because now you actually have the facts, and you're not working off fiction. You're not working off anything of like what people often say, well, I feel like. Well, I don't care about how you feel. How you feel doesn't matter. What matters is what's real, what's reality, what's actually going on. If you are basing your life on how you feel, then you're going to find yourself always just in what is the fifth law of attraction, which is called the law of rhythm. The law of rhythm basically is that everything has an ebb and a flow. Everything swings backwards and forward. That, you know, if you're like a pendulum, if you're to the left, then you're eventually going to swing to the right. It's like our economy. It goes up and it goes down. You know, your weight, people's weight go up and it goes down. And the amount of energy that you exert on the upward swing is going to determine how far along that polarity scale. And that's also, and you can understand how vibration works with that. So the key is, how do you vibrate high enough to keep your rhythm, your swing minor? You don't want the big, huge swings. You know, you see those people who they lose a lot of weight, then they gain a lot of weight. Because usually the farther the swing to the right is going to be the further the swing to the left. So if you can minimize, you get to that level of polarity by making sure that you're always staying focused with accurate thought, accurate thinking. You stay focused on this level, then you can continue to just swing here. So if you don't allow yourself to get depressed, and don't allow yourself to, okay, you have a relationship, the relationship doesn't work, and then you allow yourself to fall into this depression. No, you have the relationship, it didn't work. You look at the facts of why it didn't work, not your feelings, but the facts of why it didn't work. And then you evaluate those facts, correct anything about yourself that you need to correct how you function in that situation, how the situation came about. You look at those facts and then start to make changes based on those facts, and then keep yourself right over here. And I guarantee you, what you'll find is that a newer, better relationship will come along very quickly. Very quickly, a newer, better relationship will come, because you're over here now. You don't swing all the way back. And usually what happens is that you had this relationship, things go south. You swing all the way back because I got to go get myself together. I need to spend some time with this. I got to do that, because you get so caught up into everything that was wrong, and you stay way over here, and you wind up meeting. Now you start to vibrate over here, and that's where you meet the other person. The next person is met over here. But if you were vibrating here, the relationship dies. But then you just you evaluate it, you come to it with accurate thinking, and now you're just vibrating right here. And then you meet somebody else who's right over here. And because you met somebody else who's vibrating right over here, you don't have that big swing to the left, and you meet another person who's exactly like the person you just broke up with. You ever notice that? You keep meeting people who are just like the person you broke up with, is because your rhythm is that when you break up with them, you swing all the way back to the point of where you met them. And that's why you keep meeting and dating and being with the same person. So, hey, yes, you're back. Good. So when you stay, you stay over here. I'm gonna repeat that one more time. You vibrate back up. You don't allow yourself to get caught up in the rhythm, in the law of rhythm, that you swing all the way back to end up being with the exact same type of person you dated before, or you was with in a relationship before, because you allowed yourself to vibrate all the way to the furthest end of the polarity scale. And now you got to take that rhythm and vibrate all the way back over to the opposite end. So if that one doesn't end, just stay here. Evaluate that. Live based on that. Understand what went right, what went wrong, and stay and polarize yourself on this side. See, now, Alex asks, how do you change the rhythm? You change the rhythm through accurate thinking. So, and here's the thing. Take your last relationship. Do this. Do this. Take your last relationship. Write down the pros and cons for you. Write down the pros and cons of that person. Well, the pros and cons, what you did right, what you did wrong in the relationship. Write down what that person did right, what that person did wrong in the relationship. Then ask yourself, why? Well, why did I allow this to happen? Why was I acting this way? Why was I doing these good things, and why was I doing these bad things? right? Same thing for him. Try to figure out why they were doing these good things and why they was doing these jacked up things as much as you possibly can to your understanding. Get as many facts about the relationship as you possibly can. Now, once you've gotten those facts, let's get an understanding of those facts. Well, why did you act this way? Why, what caused you to act this way? And is this a good way for you to be? Is this a positive thing that happened, or is this a negative thing? Is this something that you need to change, or something that you need to let it stay? And as you understand that, now you can say, okay, I'm only going to focus on what's going to make me better for my next relationship, which is going to be not somebody that I swing all the way back to where I first met them, but somebody who is just right here, who's already there, who's already went through that process themselves. I had this couple that I used to coach many years ago. They both came from a divorce situation. But in their divorce situation that they came out of, they focused on what they did right in the relationship. They looked at what they did wrong, but then they corrected those things so that they wouldn't do them again, so that they would have more mastery, more control over that aspect of their life. So in that way, they wouldn't make emotional decisions about those things. And so because they were in that mode, they attracted each other, because they were now both on the same rhythmic level of the right side of the polarity scale of having a better relationship, because they didn't allow money to control them. They didn't allow sex to control them. They understood how to be courteous to another person. They understood that they allowed work to overwhelm their time management, and they didn't have good time management. They recognized that they weren't organized, and they recognized that they needed to have better health, which is how I had initially came into their lives. So in recognizing those things and working on those things, they vibrated at a higher, they were vibrating at a higher frequency that caused them to attract each other. So even though being disorganized was something that causes problems in the relationship, he wasn't disorganized anymore. Even though 50% of his day, he was thinking about when he's going to have sex again. He wasn't so focused on it because he mastered it. Not that he wasn't interested anymore, but it didn't control his decision making, so that the first little hot thing that came by, he went running towards it. Or for her, the first guy that was, looked like he had some level of security, she didn't go running for it, because she understood how to vibrate herself at a higher security level by making sure that she had a good budget, that she wasn't living beyond her means. So she put herself in a position to meet somebody else who had a good budget, wasn't living beyond their means, but who understood the value of it and didn't place it at such a higher level that they ignored each other because of it. So you change your rhythm by changing how you function and how you think about and how life relates to you. Okay? And of course, as we go into the details of an individual person, we can break those things down even more so that you can see it for yourself. And I do have processes that help to come to that realization. So that's one way how we change the rhythm. Now, there's always going to be a rhythm. There's always going to be a swing to the left and right. The idea is to minimize it so that the swings are slight. The swings are low. Not these big, huge, great relationship. The relationship's great. You're happy. Everything's great. Then, bam, you've been in this horrible depression. Then, you meet somebody and everything goes and it gets great. And then, bang, you go into this huge depression again. It's to avoid that. So that's how we change. That's part of how we change our rhythm. Now, this is the biggest part of changing your rhythm. It's the law of cause and effect. Out of all the different laws that creates the law of attraction, the law of cause and effect, next to the law of mentalism, is the biggest one. And it's very simple, and you know it. For every cause, there is an effect. And for every effect, there is a cause. So what you do determines the outcome. Now, you can be one of two people. You can be somebody who reacts, or you can be somebody who responds. A person who responds, they are causal factors. They create the effects of their life. People who react, they are reacting to some other causal factor, and they are the effect. So when you're looking for a relationship, and I suffered with this. I will say this. I will freely admit that I suffered with this. And when one of my friends said this to me some years ago, it initially pissed me off. Yeah, right? It initially pissed me off because I didn't want that to be me. But I recognized that what they recognized, and then what I had to come to the realization of, is that I never chose. I never chose. I let people choose me. I was the effect of somebody else's causal factor of deciding who is a good person for me to be in a relationship with. I never chose the relationship. When I got married, I didn't choose to get married. It was the choice of the other person at the time frame of the other person, even though my gut was to wait. My gut was to, spend some more time developing. I didn't. And this is no knock on them because they knew what they wanted. They knew where they were. They knew what was the next step. But for me, I knew that I wasn't ready, but I did it anyway. I was the effect. I didn't choose. There were certain people who I dated. I dated them because they knew, they saw me, they had interest in me, they pursued, and I just allowed it without, even though when I knew this is not a good person for me. This is not somebody I should be with. Their personality traits don't work well with me. I allowed myself to be the effect. So all I did was react to what they put out. I had to realize a year ago that I have to be my own causal factors. And when you're dealing with a relationship, both of you have to be causal factors. One of the best experiences that I had was I met a young lady. We talked for 2-3 weeks. And then through that talking and through going out, we realized that we weren't good for each other. Right? Yeah, I never thought about it like that either. It had to be brought to my realization that that's what I was doing. I thought that I was choosing people. I thought that I was putting out the right vibration, and that right vibration was attracting the right person to me. But it wasn't. And what I kept doing is making excuses, saying, well, this is what the universe brought to me. So evidently this must be, maybe there's a mission, there's an assignment here. Maybe this person is going to, the opposites of them is going to work for me. But in each time I recognized there was huge issues. And I ain't gonna say insurmountable, but unless both people want to become different, there were issues that weren't going to be overcome. So I had to change. I had to realize that I'm not here to change anybody, and I'm not changing who I am. So if we don't fit, if we're not two pieces of a puzzle that fits together, then it won't work. It won't work. So oftentimes people like to say, I have to recognize my value. And that's the term that we would normally say, recognize my value. But I think that it has more meaning, has more effect when we say, I have to be the causal factor of my life. Meaning, and see, having more value is more of a mental state. Saying that you have to be the causal factor means that you got to take action, that you got to do things, you got to make decisions. And that's what, I do now. I make decisions. You don't know how the relationship is going to work out when you first meet somebody, but as things start to stack up, they're either going to stack up positively for you or negatively. You're either going to say that these are things that are cool. I can, for the things that aren't not necessarily what you want, you can say, well, I'm good with that though. I can deal with that. That's not deal breaker. But these are deal breakers. And since they are, even though it's an emotional pull, nobody likes starting over. Nobody likes to end a relationship and go through all that crap. But you have to have it. You have to have enough love for yourself to say, nah, I'm not going to be the effect and have somebody choose me. I'm going to choose them. Because the best relationship is when both of you choose each other. When you both choose each other. That's the best relationship. That's we like to call that chemistry. Right? So, the law of cause and effect is incredibly important. Now, the most difficult one to deal with in a the most difficult one to deal with in a relationship is the law of gender. Oftentimes the law of gender gets relegated just to pure male and female. And I'm going to go like a little esoteric on y'all on this one. Because the law of gender is really talking about male and female energy. When you hear Hindu people talking about raising the kundalini, they're talking about raising the female energy. And you see the caduceus with the two snakes going up. One represents the male energy, the other one represents the female energy. So it's about raising your energy, raising your male and female energy. Because the law of gender says that in everything, in all creation, there must be male and female. When you get that relationship where it's completely one-sided, where you got the one person who's so docile and they are so passive, and then the other person is just like, I'm gonna tell you what to do and I'm gonna beat you and I'm gonna do all this stuff, but I love you. That's somebody. You got one person functioning totally male, and it doesn't have anything to do with sex, because there are some women who are so bossy in a relationship, who are, so dominant, so forceful, and they just like emasculate a dude. And then there's some dudes who are just so wimpy and so just passive and just like whatever and anything you want, all that kind of stuff. That they have, we like to say, they have no backbone. So you have an imbalance either way, and these things don't balance themselves out. You have to raise your own energy. It's this male and female energy within you. When Prince said something that I thought was, I loved in one of his songs from Art of the Age, he said, sex with me ain't enough. That's why we got to do it metaphysically. Because in that song, he was actually talking about, one of the things he talked about was that we have to be connected to each other in such a way that both our male and female energy are raised up so that we actually connect on the astral plane. That's what Prince was talking about before he passed away. By connecting with people like that, connecting with himself like that. In a relationship, we need to connect like that. This is when you connect like that, you create a safe environment. People like to say, oh, let's create a safe environment. You create a safe environment because the female energy also represents love, care, tenderness, nurturing. The male energy represents logic, understanding, realizing the facts and action of getting it done. When you have a balance in that, then you create a safe environment where the person knows that we're going to take care of each other, and we're going to look at things as they are, but I will have a tenderness and loving, nurturing care towards you at the same time. Thank you. So, so that kind of develops. So the question is, how do you develop in that? This is the hard part in a general podcast, because it really does come down to the individual. It comes down to looking at your past history, looking at who you are. It comes down to seeing what type of things that you've went through. For instance, and I might need to grab one of my manuals. I don't try to memorize everything, which is why I have like tons of binders. So get a binder so you can write stuff down. But it comes down to you understanding deep things about yourself. And I know it's in the red binder. It's supposed to be in the red binder, what I'm looking for. I don't want to mess it up, so I'm definitely trying to scroll through it real quick. And so there's a process that I created. Well, I didn't create. Let me not say I created it. I codified it. And it's funny that you say, how do you evolve in that? Because this podcast, since I was doing it by myself, originally was going to be called, I was really originally going to do Finding Your Soul and Divine Mate. But it's such a deep, powerful thing that really requires somebody to do it individually with somebody, or in a, like close in hand, so you can ask deep questions. And there's another chart that we work through in order to do this, but I'm going to go through it so that you can understand how you evolve in this and raising that energy. See, in order to raise that energy, we have to get through certain blocks that we have in our life. We got to get through certain things that have inhibited us from being able to actually find true love. Because the thing about it is, we can't find it because we don't fully love ourselves, right? And we can't until we get rid of these blocks. And we may have some of these blocks and not even realize it. So I want to go through it real quick because I'm not going to hold you guys all night. So one of the first blocks that we have to go through is all right, we're going to go through this last little part. I wasn't planning on doing this because this is usually something that I do, in person, one-on-one, or on the phone where I can talk to a person. But we are going to, so it's a process that I codified called Finding Your Soul/Divine Mate. And in doing so, we have to unblock certain aspects of that's been going on in our lives, and then we may not even know what. So like the first block is fear. So we asked ourselves the question, what are we most afraid of? And since we're talking about relationships in this one, I would ask the question, you ask yourself the question, what in a relationship are you most afraid of? Like, what's the greatest fear that you're still holding on to as far as a relationship? Like, some people are afraid of really allowing themselves to fully commit to a relationship because they've been hurt before. Some people won't allow themselves to fully commit intimately in a relationship. And that's not just sex, that's sex as well as intimacy, period. Hugging, holding hands, going on dates, spending time, conversation, holding each other, cuddling, things like that. Some people won't commit to that. Some people won't commit to children because they had an issue in a relationship with a child, whether it was harmful, whether they lost a child, all kinds of different things. So what is your greatest fear in the relationship that's holding you back from being able to have one? Or that's holding you back from having a great relationship? It won't allow you to grow. So one of those things is fear. The other one is guilt. Sometimes we feel guilty because of things we may have done or we are currently doing in a relationship. And because we're feeling guilty, it won't allow us, there again, that guilt won't allow us to grow and develop the relationship that we're in or develop and have a relationship. If we're feeling guilty, like, I remember when I first got divorced and people were trying to make me feel guilty about the fact that I got divorced. They was like, oh, you got divorced, you got to be punished for getting a divorce. You wrong for getting divorced. God gonna strike you down, basically, is what they was trying to tell me. And I told them, I said, I'm not gonna hold on to that guilt. I've evaluated every aspect of why I got divorced. I realized the things that I did wrong, and I've corrected those things for the most part. So, and I'm still working on correcting some of them, the rest of them. But holding on to guilt would have hampered me from being able to have a good relationship, the next relationship, because I would have went into that relationship feeling guilty as if I didn't deserve the relationship. And if I felt guilty in saying that I didn't deserve the relationship, if I was still holding on to any fear, it would augment the fear, so I wouldn't be able to free myself in the relationship so that I can be whom I truly am in the relationship. So guilt can block you from having an amazing relationship and allowing you to raise your energy so that both of you can have a great relationship, so that you can be compatible with somebody else who's awesome. The next one is shame. We get shame, a ton of shame occurs within a relationship. Usually the shame is not even something we've done ourselves. Usually this shame, so you have to forgive yourself of all things that you've done in previous relationship in order to get rid of the guilt. So the shame part, we've had disappointments. We've had relationships that didn't work. We've done things in relationship that the outside world is still putting a lot of shame inside of us about that relationship. Like, you get a divorce, the world shames you. Oh, divorce is wrong. You may, and depending upon your religious views, you may not be celibate. You may have sex before a legal document of marriage, and you carry around a shame of that because everybody else is telling you that that's wrong. You may maintain certain levels of separation within the relationship because maybe, when I was talking about fear, maybe somebody, the other person took all your money. Maybe they took your possessions. Maybe they hurt you, so you feel shameful about it, but you put up this wall of saying, I'm never going to do that again, so you don't let somebody in. You keep them at bay. You keep them out. And then that other person, because they can't break down that wall, they can't beat it down, they begin to wander away from you. So if we hold on to shame, it produces a arm length towards the other person. So you can't develop a relationship because you got an arm length towards yourself, right? Now the next one, the thing that blocks our relationship, is grief, pain. We feel grief because, because of the loss that we've had. We lost a relationship. We lost finances in a relationship. We lost children in a relationship. There was a couple when I was in the Marine Corps. Now, and this has happened twice. I had one couple, both couples actually lost a child, in the relationship. They lost a baby, right? Before the baby, one before the baby was actually born, the other one, the baby lived like 5 days, but both lost the baby. And that loss that they felt, pulled and tugged, and they never got over it. And that loss caused one couple to say, we will never have a child. I'll never try to have a child. you know. And but the fact that they lost that child, it weighed on their minds so much that it was the root of other problems in the relationship, other arguments, other dissatisfactions that they started having. They stopped being intimate with each other. First they stopped being sexual because they know sex, you know, law of cause and effect. You have sex without protection, you have a baby. Because we had lost the baby, they didn't want to have sex. After the sex was lost, then they stopped having intimacy. So they stopped, you know, going out and dating one another and spending time with one another and conversating and that sort of thing. And then so as they lost that, then they started arguing with each other because now they start finding every negative, wrong thing with one another. And now the relationship just snowball, and they got divorced. The relationship was, you know, everything just didn't work out. The other couple, they lost, but they gravitated towards each other. They said we lost, but guess what? We are going to try. We're going to, if God blesses us with another child, if we decide that we want to have another child, then we will. And we are going to, you know, work and do what's necessary. Put in, you know, eat health. They got on health kicks as far as their health. They started researching what's called homeopathic medicines. They started making sure that they was in the healthiest situation they could possibly be to have another child. And they worked things out. Now, when they got pregnant again, did they tell anybody? No. I didn't know that they had another baby until the baby was born, right? And that child, their baby should be 17 now. Yeah, 17. Should be graduating high school this year because they're the same age as my middle daughter. So they should be graduating. No, 16, same age as my son. So 16. That child is 16 years old now. But they released that grief, didn't hold on to it, so that it build their relationship. Their relationship got stronger because of it. So if you're holding on to some kind of grief, something in your past, that some lost love that you had, like, here's something common. People hold on to their ex. They hold on to the love that they lost from their ex, the grief that they feel from the love they lost from their ex, which inhibits them from being able to find new love. And that's the thing. You have to be open. In order to get over the grief of old past losses, you have to be open to new wins. You have to be open to allowing new love to come into your heart. But if you're holding back, you say, well, I'm not going to love them until I see. And if you're doing that out of grief, because of what happened in your past, you're not going to be able to unblock that. You're going to find yourself stuck. The other thing that holds us back is lies. The lies we tell. Not the lies we tell about other people, but the lies we tell about ourselves. You know, the lies that we say to who we were. You see, if you ask me why my first marriage didn't work, I will tell you the truth. And the truth of the matter is that 90% of it was my fault. Right? That I made decisions. I made destructive decisions based on lack of intimacy and lack of sex and lack of free sex, I should say. So I let that control me and control my decisions. So then I went out and I did destructive things. And all destructive things don't mean cheating. I went out and did destructive things, like I made sure that I was not around the person even when I had the opportunity to be around the person. Now, do I work a lot? Yes, I've always worked a lot. But when I had free time, I didn't spend it. I would go somewhere else. I would grab the kids and go up to the mountains and leave her at home. You know, I purposely did things like that so that, you know, I didn't have to think about the root problem. But the root problem was me, that I let something else control me I let something control me, basically. Right? So that's my fault. So I can't tell the lie. And that's what most people do. They tell the lie. They tell their, you know, how we say that one-sided story. I wish I had it with me. I wrote a poem about that one-sided story. But so we tell our one-sided story about, well, you know, they did this and they did that and they did it and they did that and all I did, and I loved them so much and I did everything for them. I did this and I did that and I did everything in the world for them. You're not telling the whole story. And it's because we have blinders on. We have rose-colored lenses on when we look at ourselves and how we were in the relationship. You know. Now, sometimes truth is just truth. You know, if you were doing what you were supposed to do, then, hey, you was on it. So, truth is truth. But we got to be mindful of the lies we also tell about ourselves. The third thing now we're almost done with this part. The other thing that blocks you from having that divine soulmate is we have this delusion, well, not a delusion. We have an illusion that we're disconnected, that everything is just happening, that everything in your life happens in this vacuum and you're by yourself. Everybody is going through what you go through, but also everybody has the opportunity to find joy, love, peace, and happiness. When you think that you are so disconnected from the world and in your little pocket, and you're not going to find somebody else because there's no one else who's in your vacuum, then you're that's an illusion. That's an illusion. Now when we think, and people say stuff like, well, oh, you have this one soulmate of your life. That's an illusion. What if your soulmate is in the backwaters of Australia, right? And married to somebody else? No. You have literally probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that you will have amazing chemistry with. But the illusion is that we're disconnected from all of that. That there's only one person. And that the likelihood of finding that one person is like next to zero because you just live in your city and you probably stay in your city pretty much most of your life. You go in your same little 5-mile radius of your whole life, and unless you work somewhere farther away, you stay in your little circle. So if your soulmate is and I know people who, they say, oh, I was told that my soulmate, my husband, my wife is in California, and they ran off to California and ran their happiness right on back. And I've seen people who spend all kinds of money and run off and do something to somewhere because somebody told them that I'm prophesizing that your husband is in Cleveland at this conference. And they go to Cleveland, to the conference, spending money that they didn't have to go to Cleveland, to the conference, and came back, didn't meet nobody. So we have to get rid of the illusions that people try to place in our lives and recognize that, stop laughing, that all things are connected, right? It's all connected. But the connection is not this idea of that your soulmate is somewhere else. The connection is in you recognizing how all these laws work together. That the law of cause and effect, that affects your vibration. And the higher you vibrate on a subject, on a matter, the more you go up the polarity scale to the right. And then the more you can have accurate thought of correspondence and the law of mentalism, then you can stay on that side. And so the law of rhythm doesn't have you swinging way to the left and to the right. So that's the illusion, is that none of those things are connected when they are, all of them are. What you do in your everyday life is directly connected to you being able to have that being able to raise your energies, raise your kundalini, so raise your female and male energy in balance so that you can have and meet that divine soulmate. Now, and then the last thing that blocks you is holding on to your earthly attachment, holding on to this reality. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I said that you have to open yourself up to receive love, right? That you have to vibrate at a higher frequency so that so that you can connect with people. But the reality is this: you have to let go of the fact that you have to have it in your life. See, I told you that in my first relationship, my first marriage, I should say, not first relationship, but my first marriage, I had this belief that my reality can only exist if I was having sex as much as I wanted it, as if I was having intimacy as much and how I wanted it. And it's not that I'm supposed to decrease my desires or decrease, what I want, because that would be decreasing the person that I am, because that was me. That was my true self. But I couldn't let go of it enough to the point where it didn't cause me to make stupid decisions, right? You ask sometimes people will ask a guy. Don't ask a woman this that often. They ask a guy, how does a man go out knowing he really doesn't have the money, get a prostitute, knowing he's putting his life in danger by being with this person, first in the environment that you're in, and then the disease nature that is possibly there, How do you go and do something as self-destructive as that? When you know you can't do it, you shouldn't be doing it. It's because their reality is that is what they must have, and it's controlling them. When I was living in this building downtown Atlanta called the Waterford, there were women who had apartments down there. 1-bedroom apartments, 2-bedroom apartments. They had, when you see them outside their apartment, they got the who's that? The Michael Kors bags, and they dressed to the nines. They looking good. They go down into the parking garage. They get into their BMW, their Mercedes. Everything's on point. But, and I had it on good authority, most of them didn't have food in their refrigerator. Most of them were barely keeping the lights on. It's all right. I didn't really drink something. Most of them didn't have furniture other than a bed to sleep on. And some of them didn't have that, just had an air mattress. Their apartment is completely empty. They were putting up this thing because in their mind they said that I have to live down here. I have to live in this way. Now we say we're faking it till we make it. No, we don't fake it till we make it. We have to let go of all those things that says that this outside of me makes up who I am. And if I don't have this, then I can't attract the right person. That actually has nothing to do with you attracting the right person. You, your personality, your mental state, your activities, the way you respond instead of reacting has everything to do with you attracting the right person into your life. So that's the you side of it. That's the you side of it. Now there is a whole other side that kind of goes in reverse of what you're looking for in your divine soulmate. Now when you get to the point where you're functioning without these blocks, when you get to the point where these blocks are not holding you back, holding you down, it's actually quite easy to begin to see it in another person. But the way you see it is different than how it is in your life. You know, you get rid of the blocks, and when you get rid of these blocks, you start you become a new person. It's kind of like how the Christian Bible says that you become a new creature. When you get rid of these blocks, you become a new creature for real. Like, you become totally new. I can honestly say that the guy that I am now, although somebody on the outside may look and say, oh, well, you know, he's still, you know, all touchy-feely and affectionate, and he's still, you know, old-fashioned with opening doors and all that kind of stuff. He's still the same guy. Some of my actions are still the same, but my mentality towards them are very different. There's a different mindset about them. There's a different thing about what controls it. You know, I don't open doors now because that's just how I was trained. I open it because I enjoy the courtesy. I enjoy taking care of the person. Even if it's not somebody. Today, when I went to the gym, there was a lady. She was far enough away that I can justifiably could have just let the door close. But I stood there and held the door and waited for her, and I didn't rush her just so she can come in, because it's a part of the nature of who I desire to be. And I choose to do it. And I choose when to do it, because sometimes if I'm in a rush, and you too far away, I'm letting the door go. But it's a choice. I choose who I am instead of being who I was programmed or conditioned to be. So once you release these blocks, and sometimes you release them, they get closed back up, and you have to go through the process and open them up again. Sometimes you have to go through that, but in order to find that divine soulmate, that's what you have to do. And just because they're open, you're not working on those blocks, those blocks are not there anymore, doesn't mean the next person that you meet is going to be that right person. You still have to go through the process of evaluating them, because if they all blocked up, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. This is why Prince was talking about finding someone who meets him on a metaphysical level, because you have to be open and they have to be open. So I'm sure I've held you way too long. This has been awesome, even though I've had technical difficulties 3 times that it shut down. So hopefully next week won't have this problem. And next week, you know, Miss Chanel Renee will be with me. so that we can get back to our normal, regular scheduled program. If you did enjoy this talk, if you enjoyed this, please in the comment section below, let me know. Let me know. I appreciate that. You know, what you say. Well, thank you. Worth every minute. You so sweet. So we will continue. We will continue, and next week we'll have Chanel. Oh, and just as a reminder, if you're in Atlanta, my company, Uncle Ren's Popcorn, is going to be one of the sponsors for Corks and Conversations. So, you know, wine and conversation about relationship. It's another different podcast that actually from a friend of mine who comes up earlier, and that's going to be June 10th. There's a link in the timeline somewhere, but I'll post another link. If not tonight, tomorrow, there'll be another link for that. If you're in the Atlanta area or if you want to come to Atlanta for it, it's June 10th. So y'all have a great night, and we are still working on our own event that we're going to have as well. So y'all have a great night. Enjoy yourself. Remember, love you, love you, love you, and free yourself to be yourself. Good night.